Hello.
Hello, and we are live with the Fans Youth Film Festival 2020. And today we have Carina with us, who is a wonderful documentary filmmaker, who's also an equally wonderful staff member of Fans Film Festival, much loved brownie maker of many years. So I guess before we kind of get round to watching the film, I was wondering, Karina, if you'd want to say anything about the film to kind of introduce it.
Yeah, sure. So I made the film in 2018, and it was with Bridging the Gap, which is a scheme run by the Scottish Documentary Institute, which is a really great scheme for people getting into documentary. I don't really want to say too much. I think maybe we could just watch it and then I'll talk. But yeah, it's a personal film about my family, really.
Cool. Great. I guess we'll just go to watching the film then, and I'm really hoping that this goes technically well.
Okay, hi. In a minute, I'm gonna give interviews with my cousins. What?
Say action. Did you say action?
What do you like?
I like life.
Okay, Nick.
I like the music.
What do you want to work as? What's your most embarrassing moment?
Carina.
I grew up in Glasgow with a Scottish mum and an Algerian dad. I was 4 years old when I first met my Algerian family. Every visit was an adventure, and I had complete freedom to run wild. My dad would take me out everywhere.
This is Nassima, my cousin. Hello. This is Karima, my aunt, and this is Malika, my other aunt.
Madame.
But I couldn't speak their language, and these two cultures always felt so far apart. It wasn't until I visited again at 18 that I noticed how different the expectations had become towards myself and my female cousins. With age, I've gained more opportunities, while they seem to have gained more pressures.
La poudre en est blanche, quelle est la caricature? Oui, c'est la poudre blanche. Ah.
Est-ce que vous avez de petits copains ici?
Écoute, est-ce que t'as un petit copain ici?
Un petit copain. Tu dépasses les limites des 18e de 18 haja.
Et toi, Sarah, t'en as?
Non, c'est toi, Yasmine. T'en as?
Moi, j'en ai pas.
Moi, j'en ai un.
C'est la vérité. Moi, non, juste que j'en ai,
pour
mais j'en
l'instant.
ai eu.
T'as un petit copain, Mélissa?
Oui.
Genre, pour se marier, c'est à toi de chercher ton copain, c'est à toi d'avoir.
Attends, je vais te dire.
Faut juste ne pas te montrer avec lui quand même.
Oui.
D'accord.
Faut pas te
Non, je peux pas
montrer
dépasser
que
les limites,
tous les gens te regardent
Oui,
avec
oui,
lui. Toi, tu parles avec lui au téléphone.
Ah, ok, c'est un
Faut
peu
rester
secret.
discret. Faut
Oui,
rester discret.
d'accord. Relation discrète.
Merci pour telle question.
Non, mais Charles, non. On est des femmes interdites.
D'accord. Oui, c'est mieux. Back home, most of my friends are on dating apps. So it feels really strange to imagine this kind of pressure and secrecy, especially as the family are so close-knit. I've always felt such warmth from my gran, but it's frustrating that I can only have a conversation with her when a family member steps in to translate from Berber.
Axel.
امشي كده عايز تفضل فلانة
Wagi, Wagi. En fait, Aïe, elle nous dit toujours, mais les filles, habillez-vous, sortez. Moi, si j'étais à votre place, je ferais ça, je ferais ça, je ferais ça. Vous qui avez la chance de pouvoir faire ça librement par rapport à avant, vivez votre temps, vivez votre âge. Ne laissez pas le temps, ne laissez pas les événements, les problèmes de tous les jours, la routine, faire en sorte à ce que vous vous oubliez en tant que femme. Voilà. Vivez aussi votre vie de femme. Voilà ce qu'elle dit.
My grand's take on life surprises me. I didn't expect her to have such liberal views, especially when the women in my family follow such defined roles.
On dit à nos hommes qu'on les aime grâce à la bouffe. À nos frères, à nos papas, à nos enfants, on dit qu'on les aime grâce au manger, quoi. Grâce à nos plats.
On le fait avec plaisir, on n'est pas fatigué. Non, non.
Vous cuisinez tous très bien.
Tu vois, bien sûr. C'est un don, mais toute la famille cuisine comme ça. Voilà, c'est bien. Tu vas apprendre comme nous. Voilà. Inch'Allah, quand tu vas te marier, quand tu vas venir ici, on va te faire comme ça une fête, une très très grande fête. Voilà. Une réception. Voilà.
I can't stop thinking how much I take for granted, being able to choose my own lifestyle.
La femme algérienne, elle travaille très 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 dur. Oui. Oui, tous les jours.
On travaille toute la journée, comme eux, ils travaillent toute la journée. Et lorsqu'on rentre, eux, ils partent dormir. Ben, nous, on sera obligés de travailler, de faire le ménage.
Ce que les hommes ne peuvent pas faire.
Dans d'autres pays quand même, l'homme et la femme, ils sont égales. Ils sont égaux, pardon. Donc, ce qui fait l'homme, elle doit le faire à la femme. Et ce qu'elle fait la femme, l'homme, il doit l'aider à chaque fois.
It annoys me that while the women are clearing up, the men are having a party. My dad seems comfortable with this, when it wouldn't be okay back home. Me and my dad have never spoken about these double standards.
Okay, say action.
Action.
Now you take the food ready. Coming up for the pot. Now, when those food bowl, have some more drink. Aïe, Fatiha. Zama bossy gars,
How are
put
you?
some
Moi,
titles
c'est
for
Fatih
that.
Halmi, c'est Hakim, c'est mon beau-frère. Et il est méchant, il est gentil. Hein?
Okay, then we'll do it another day.
No,
Just go ahead.
continue. What were you saying?
Yeah, so look, great.
Hodak, c'est mon beau-père.
Everything's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a man's life. Love it. If you go to the terrace, there's 2 bottles of wine for you in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So I've done my bit, right?
Allez, bon appétit.
For the women.
He jokes and offers me wine, so he must see that the rules are different for men and women. I'm starting to realize that being on a holiday and being part of a family are such different things. I don't know where I stand. I wonder if my dad realizes how I feel.
They're very proud in a way where, oh, Carina must really enjoy it here and she feels like one of us and she wants to come back and do a film with us.
Do you think if you brought us up here, we'd have a different relationship? Or like,
As me and you.
yeah, or just like, how different do you think it would be?
Different, it would be the same, but it would be different.
Do you get why it's important to me?
Is it important to you?
Yeah, do you understand why?
Is it important to you?
Yeah, I'm making a film about it. I've always felt slightly conflicted about how I feel when I'm here, because half of me feels like I couldn't be more at home, and the other half feels like I'm almost holding my breath, like I'm not sure.
But then again, that's how I feel myself, because it's the opposite way around. There's that big gap. You don't know where to stand.
I now see that me and my dad are as confused as each other, but there's still so many more conversations to be had. Nassima, est-ce que tu préférais grandir en ce temps ou dans le passé?
نحسب لو كان توفير اش كتكره كسوله نغاو قبل
اخر زي كلش زي كان زعما كيف يكون عيا شنبقى كان تقدمات.
Une fois, ma grand-mère, elle m'a dit, je vous jure, si j'avais grandi dans ce temps, je serais même pas mariée.
حتى شو قال لي السوسم هنا صرت ما السوسم.
Tu t'en fous, monsieur? Je vais me comparer moi à une femme mariée. Ben voilà, moi, genre aujourd'hui, je sais que je suis dispo à 13h, je peux sortir. Mais si j'aurais été mariée, je pense pas que j'aurais pu. Tu vois ce que je veux dire?
Est-ce que tu sens de la pression de marier?
Et si la femme, si elle dépasse 30 ans, elle n'est pas mariée, c'est pas normal.
Oui.
Ça va pas aller. Je t'assure, hein,
Oui.
j'aime bien. Vous prenez pas la tête, vous faites ce que vous avez à faire et voilà. Donc, la vérité, je vous préfère.
Maybe I will always feel like a visitor in my family. But the more time I spend in Algeria, the more I understand. And the closer I feel to the people that I love.
Yeah, Carina will reappear. I think she's having some problems with her Wi-Fi at the moment, so hopefully she'll. There she is.
Hello.
Are you back? You back?
I think so. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, I can hear you. Good. Okay. I guess we'll just see. Hopefully your Wi-Fi can hold out. So I really love this film. I really love like it really makes you feel like you're like you get this little snippet of like the family life and kind of like what it means to be you and in this position. So I really love it. I think it's really sweet, and I especially love like the archive at the beginning. Is it you that's trying to conduct the interview?
Yeah. So actually I found it just a few days before we went on the shoot to fly to Algeria. So once the film was commissioned, I didn't know I had this archive footage. sitting there. And when I found it, I had this like vague recollection of filming stuff when I was a kid, but I didn't really know what it was. And then looking through it, I had like all these interviews. So I obviously thought at like 8 or something that it was worth documenting. So yeah, it was nice to discover to make.
I love it though, because it's like a little, like, you're destined to be a filmmaker. Like, even at that point, you're like, I know what I want to do. Like, you were so ahead of the game in pre-production that at 8 years old, you were getting
I
the
knew,
footage
yeah.
you needed.
I think my interviewing skills got a bit better though, because I was quite abrupt then.
Yeah. So what kind of first sparked this idea for the film for you?
I think because I made the film in 2018, so the year before, or maybe 2 years before, I'd moved out of home, and it was my last year or so of uni. Like, I'd had a bit more independence and was just getting on with my life. And I started thinking more about my family and in Algeria, because I had a lot of cousins the same age as me. And I had all this freedom and independence, and I started thinking about them and comparing our lives. And it was a bit like, wow, if I was in the same place right now in Algeria, my life would be so different. But then I got to think, I actually don't know how different it would be and in what way it would be different. So that kind of prompted me to think, why don't I go and actually find out instead of just having this vague idea? I wanted to understand it more, really.
So is your family kind of on board with the idea from the beginning, or did they take some convincing?
Pretty much. Yeah, there was definitely convincing. I think my French was really bad as well. I had to get much better for going back to film. So that was really good in some ways, because they didn't really understand what I was doing. Yeah, I think they came around to it, but I think they just thought I was just messing about with a camera for no reason. I don't think they got that it was a film.
Like they just thought you were doing what you did when you were 8 years old again. Not sure if she's frozen again.
Yeah,
Carina,
exactly.
are you still there? Sorry, I think you froze for a sec. How long did the production take? So you flew there specifically to film. How many people did you take, and how long did it take to shoot and stuff?
So I took 2 people, a camera operator / DP and a sound recordist. And we were meant to be there for 4 weeks, but it was during the Beast from the East. So we were there for 2.5 weeks because of this. But it was good. It was quite an intense time, because we knew that we only had that time to shoot everything. And if we didn't get anything, it wasn't very easy back, just with flights and visas and everything. So yeah, a few weeks of shooting and then quite a bit of editing, because we shot quite a lot. And it was quite hard to then shape that into something.
Good. Do you feel like you found a better understanding of your Algerian family kind of through the filming and interviewing?
Absolutely. I feel like I asked a lot of questions that I would never have asked. I don't think I even would have had the words to articulate, because I had to practice asking questions in French. There's so many things I wouldn't have even thought I could get into with my limited vocabulary. So that was great. But at the same time, I feel like the more I've talked about it, the more there's just other questions that have come up. And I don't feel like I so much came away with like solutions or clear answers, but it kind of opened things up to be explored.
opened things up to a series of films, to a franchise.
That's a plan.
We've got a question here from Facebook comment. Laurie's asking if you've ever thought about making a similar film with the other side of your family, so your Scottish side then?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I have actually. It's been quite nice. With the film, I had to think a lot about times when family from Algeria came to Scotland, and that was pretty interesting how they reacted to being in my world. But that's not happened for quite a long time, so I'd love to see how that would be like now if, say, my cousins who are the same age as me were to come over here and experience my life. I think they'd probably have a lot of questions and thoughts on that.
Yeah. How did your family react to the film when you kind of showed them the final product?
So I wasn't there when they saw it because my dad went and visited again later and took the film with him, which I was kind of glad of because I was quite apprehensive as to what they would think. I think my cousins that were the same age as me and the younger people in the family really got it and got what I was trying to say and seemed to be happy with what I was saying. And my gran as well. I think just because she thinks along the same lines as them in some ways, like she is very liberal, but the in the middle were less okay, kind of like 30 to 60-year-olds. I think for one, they were like, you came here for 3 weeks and filmed with us all the time and we're hardly in it. So maybe that was it. But also I think they were less keen to accept that there's maybe some issues in the culture and things that aren't so great because they're very much in it, whereas the younger and older people are kind of going against it a bit more.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, it's not really going to be a real film unless you're getting some resistance towards it.
Yeah.
So you said it was, one of the youth team, I'm assuming, have said, what conversations have you had with your dad and family in the years following the film?
I think it has let me talk about things more openly, definitely with my cousins and family. I think with my dad, I mean, because of the film, he wasn't meant to be interviewed at all, and his interviews were completely off the cuff, and I didn't think I was going to even use them. They were more for me to just get thoughts out. So, I feel like every now and then we do talk about things, and when I've had to do things like this and talk about the film more, it made me then talk to my family a bit and think about the contrast. It's quite hard now though because I've been there for a little while. You can kind of get on with your daily life, and then every now and then when there's certain things that come up, like prejudices you might come across or whatever, it does kind of remind me of that part of my life, and want to embrace it more.
I think it is. It's a very sweet way of doing it, and it's kind of a way of documenting the life so firsthand and kind of being able to look back on that in a really nice way.
Thank you.
So yeah, I can't remember if you said you made it in like partnership or it was commissioned by the Scottish Documentary Institute. I think that's quite an achievement. So I was wondering if you'd want to talk a little bit about kind of the process behind that and kind of how they came to be involved and what support they were giving you.
Yeah, sure. So they put an open call out in 2017. So every year for Bridging the Gap, they put a call out with a theme and you could submit a proposal for a documentary. So I just graduated uni and put it in on the off chance that something could come of it, not expecting that at all. And was lucky enough to get shortlisted. So me and 11 other filmmakers got shortlisted, and for about 3 months we worked on the development of our film. So we had workshops every few weeks and developed our pitches and our trailers. And then the January of the next year we had to pitch to a panel with Creative Scotland, which is terrifying. But yeah, it was a great experience. It really threw you into the deep end of that whole world of documentary that I was completely clueless about. And yeah, it made me want to continue. So it's a great scheme. If anyone is interested in documentary filmmaking, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. What kind of age is it targeted at? Is it targeted more at kind of graduates rather than kind of the younger spectrum, would you say?
Yeah, I think so, because it is bridging that gap between whatever it is you do, be that having done a degree, or for some people in our group who were older, it was a different career, like a completely different career that were to make that step into documentary from. So I'd say, I mean, I was 20 when I went for it, so like I was a graduate, but I was still quite young, and they didn't see that as an issue, I don't think. So young people are still commissioned and accepted, which is great.
Good. It's just in case anybody who was watching was interested and was a young person. Yeah. And during your kind of I don't know, just filming or development or post or anything, was there any like really kind of key points that kind of stuck out to you as being like really like your favorite points, or something that kind of like breakthrough points or anything like that?
I mean, I suppose in the edit, from the start, I wanted to make a film that was far less personal and much more removed, and wanted to step back a lot and not really get involved. And then there was one point in the edit where my producer Lindsay was really pushing for me to be more kind of personally involved and do a voiceover, which I was like, no way am I doing a voiceover in this. And I think there came a point where I realized that was quite a key part of this film, and it kind of needed to have that perspective with what we'd shot and the nature of it already. So that was like, at the time I was like, oh no, this is going against everything I thought I wanted to do. But ultimately it was the right decision. So that felt like quite a big turning point, I guess. And I suppose finding the archive footage was a great moment in the production, because I got it just before we went to Algeria. So when I was there, I got to show my family all this footage that I'd taken of them. And I loved just like watching back 10-year-old footage of them being interviewed and parties, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in the history of filmmaking has ever enjoyed doing their own voiceover, especially during the post-production and listening to their voice. But I think it's just so key to kind of we know that it's your film, it's your point of view and your family. And I think it's just kind of this lovely thread that kind of weaves through it and kind of pulls it all together really nicely.
Thank you.
So in the, what's it called, like synopsis tagline thing, it says that you set out to find an understanding between the two cultures. And do you think you found like an answer to this understanding through the film, or I think you said it might have just raised more questions overall?
Yeah. I don't know, it definitely set me on the track for understanding more. I suppose during making the film, I did kind of learn that my dad was also feeling kind of caught between two cultures, which I never really thought about. And what was nice is from making the film, like at the screening in Edinburgh, where when the film premiered, there was like a girl who was half Indian, half Scottish, and like her other culture is completely different to Algeria, but she came and spoke to me and felt the same kind of connection with it because she'd gone through a similar thing. And it was quite nice to think that even though a specific personal story, like there's so many people in our society that have a whole mix of cultures. So I guess it's not so much answering questions, but just kind of trying to get the thoughts out around how it can be kind of confusing to have these different worlds that don't really agree with each other, and like you'll equally strongly about them and you love the people in them as much, but they're just so different, and it's quite hard to kind of consolidate those ideas. So no, really is my answer. But it's helped a lot.
I wouldn't think there would ever be an easy answer to any question like that. I was wondering if the film's kind of taking you to any interesting places of like screenings, or kind of, you mentioned a little bit about being able to kind of connect with other people through it. So like what the general kind of response has been to the film, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to have it screened at quite a lot of festivals over the world, and that was so exciting to see it going to different countries. One thing that was really great to come of it was it won one of the John Byrne Awards, and the Humanist Society Scotland picked up on the film. So I got to go to their AGM last year, and that was great because like it was just because the film kind of dealt with some themes that they explore in their society. That was really interesting to have a room of people who were really engaged with the film from all different walks of life, and it was completely unexpected as well. So it's been nice how like over the year or two since I made it, like little things like that have cropped up and different people have got something from it. And like there was a Scottish Algerian poet that got in touch with me a few months ago who just kind of stumbled across the film and didn't think that anyone else was Scottish Algerian and had made any art about that. And that felt amazing because I also thought that didn't really exist. So little connections like that have been lovely.
That's really sweet, actually, yeah. You mentioned the John, I can't pronounce it, John Byrne Award.
Yeah.
And that's quite a youth-oriented award generally, I think.
It is, yeah.
So sorry, my laptop is bugging out for some reason. But what kind of process was that like?
Well, the award itself is really open and easy to submit to. I think they changed it now, but it was a monthly submission process, so you could submit any piece of art to it, and as long as you had a kind of a question around it, and you could express your thoughts on the question that your piece was considering, it's free to submit to. And yeah, it was kind of out of the blue. Like I didn't really think much when I submitted it, and then I managed to win the month, so that was great.
Yeah, I see it crop up a lot, and I think it is a really wonderful award that, and I don't really hear people talk about it all that much.
Yeah, it's a great award, and they're really good for, even if you, like anybody who submits to it, their work gets showcased on their site as well, so it's great for getting your work out there, like whenever you're making stuff. Yeah.
I think kind of, I mean, I am coming to the end of my questioning at the moment, but there's a question that's come up on the Facebook. I'm not sure if it's on the screen because my laptop has completely crashed, but I seem to still be able to talk, so I'm just going to keep going. But on the Facebook, it says from the Fans Film Festival, so one of the youth team members again, how did it feel to focus on yourself as a subject manager and to expose your family life?
Well, really, really horrible at first, to be honest. It's hard because I think you're trying to think as objectively as possible, and you want to make a good film, and you want to have a film that has conflict and challenges, but then you don't want to offend your whole family and make everyone fall out with each other. So it's the kind of fine line. And I mean, the Scottish Documentary Institute were really good for pushing me a bit, because it was hard to I don't know, to go to certain places, and I could have pushed it a lot further, I know, but it was also about my family, and yeah, you have to be quite careful, I guess. And then you also need to then take everything not so personally once you present it, because even though it's a part of you, you have just made a film. And I suppose nearly all filmmakers would say their work is personal, and yeah, it's hard to share it because it is a part of you. But I suppose when you're sharing your gran and your dad and stuff, it feels like another step. Yeah.
Yeah, in filmmaking, there's always like a question of kind of ethics and treating your kind of subjects with like care and respect and how you show them, but then doing that with people you don't know is odd enough already, but doing it with people that you've kind of known your entire life is just so alien to, as a filmmaker, to kind of think about. I just have one final question, unless any of one of our audience have anything to say. I'm just wondering if, I know we're in the middle of kind of coronavirus, but is there any kind of projects or ideas you're kind of working on at the moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for so many filmmakers at the moment. I had like quite a few projects and things lined up before this that have been kind of short or postponed. But I have a few documentaries in development at the moment that I'm working on trailers for and trying to get funding for. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to do as much as possible at the moment and cut a short as well. So yeah, I guess it's just doing what you can and finding ways to be creative with what you've already shot, or doing research and using the time as best you can. Yeah.
For documentary makers, it's always a bit harder to kind of, because with kind of fiction and drama short filmmakers, you know, having this much time off is brilliant because you have unlimited time for pre-production and kind of finding things, making decisions and script like development. But with documentaries, so much of it comes from production and post, so you're just kind of like sitting around twiddling your thumbs.
Exactly. I think as well, it's quite not worrying, but I think when everything started with COVID, a lot of documentary filmmakers were starting to think like if they were following characters at the moment that it started, how would their documentaries then work out? Because obviously it's a huge life-changing thing, and that then becomes part of your narrative because you're filming someone's life. So yeah, I'm curious how many films will come out of this time where there's a sudden like news flash and the story takes a bit of a tangent.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to this. I hope everybody had enjoyed it and enjoyed the film. I think we have another Meet Your Maker planned for 2 weeks' time with another very special filmmaker guest to watch a film and have some chats, which would be great. We're also kind of in the run up to the festival now, and we're kind of full force planning some really cool things. So please keep an eye on like our social medias for the events and workshops we have planned, and really hope to see some more people virtually, at least, at the festival soon. So thank you so much, everybody who came to listen today, and thank you again, Carina.
Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Oh.